welcome to my LinkedIn Live. I'm hoping Deena will join us in a second. Deena is going to be talking about comedy today. There she is. Yay.
Making my grand entrance. I'm dramatic. I have to, always leave him wanting more, build anticipation, kind of like the job search.
No, absolutely. But I think it's really great because I know even before the chat, I was actually just sharing some of the comments in here. Looking forward to this. Need some comedy in my job search.
We need some comedy in our lives.
And even so, like Meryl actually, I think, remembers you. You're rolling on the floor.
Hi, Meryl. Oh my God, I love this. I love crowd work, by the way. Poor Ken, I was like, it's your show. I'm your guest. Do what you want. I will try not to talk for the next 58 minutes.
Well, that's okay because first of all, this is an introvert speaking to an extrovert. So we are going to have a blast with this.
We are.
And
yeah.
So I know we were talking about the whole idea of comedy, the confidence, all the connection stuff. So why don't you just take it away a little bit about how you got into this whole process of comedy and job search and all that stuff?
Oh, I mean, okay, let's see. What should I start with? You can't see this, but I have props around me. I'm not, oh, well, you can see my shrine here. So let me set the stage, as we say,
Sure.
Give you a little character development. The prologue, epilogue, prologue, before the BTS behind the scenes. So this is my little shrine to New York and love, The Secret Life of Bees, quotable New York. Come down to my level. I'm very short, by the way, for those of you who have never met me. I'm 4'6¾".
Really? And I'm 6
I make a lot of noise. If you can't see me, you will always hear me. I take up a lot of space. And that is rule number 1 for all of you. Take up space. Embrace your place. Embrace your space. Whoever you are, whatever you are, we are all unique, just like everybody else. Own it. And I will digress back to my backdrop. FDNY, Fire Department of New York. Also, right. Fireball Deena, networking Yoda. When you have a grown-ass woman, sorry, I said that on
That's okay.
Who is 4.5 feet tall, she can call herself a networking Yoda. I hope people are taking screenshots. Put this out there to the world. So yes, this is my FDNY. Keep back 200 feet, which, here and some more. It's not just about my life. I do use my life and my stories to hopefully inspire and empower and educate and lead by example. Right. But because that common theme, we are all unique and we all have very shared human experiences. So I'm going to share some of mine with you in the hopes that it inspires you too. I got this at a writing retreat and it says, you are limitless possibility. Sit with that for a moment. Mm-hmm. This inspires me every day. And then my journal, because, journaling matters. Ask for what you want and be prepared to get it, which is what we will talk about, all joking aside, and we will use comedy, but job search sucks. Let's make it suck less. What is your purpose in life? Okay, like I am not a camera person. I'm just the talent. I was like, where's the camera? I'm like, look at the little green light. I do crowd work. I do live work. If you're in the room with me, I will only ever be looking into your eyes, not for the camera. But right now I'm going to look at the camera. Ask for what you want and be prepared to get it. How do you prepare for your purpose, your job search? This program is equally valid and valuable if you are a business owner, if you're thinking of starting a business, if you're in career transition. All of these skills, confidence, right? How we feel inside, right. Our relationship with ourself, connection, our relationship to others and our community and our networks and our contacts, how we support and encourage each other. And comedy, because you got to have a positive mindset when stuff doesn't always go well. Oh, and look, hidden here. Who knew I had levels and layers? We all do. Don't judge me. I was born to be, well, as you can tell. Talk about show, don't tell. I was born to be awesome, not perfect. She says as she's trying to find the little green light right in front of her. We are all human. We are all going to F up. We all make mistakes. We are all perfectly imperfect and imperfectly perfect. So Own it. That is my number one. Oh, one more thing. What the hell? I'm never going to stop at one, people. There's too much of a good thing. Too much of a good thing can be wonderful, as Mae West says. So let's embrace all the good and all the energy here and all the craziness that is me and my layers of inspo quotes. Okay. Awesome, not perfect. Ask for what you want and be particular. Find your focus. I'm known. Okay, I have what is actually called directional dyslexia. I have that inner compass that some people have where they always know where they are. I don't have it. I'm very visual. I have a great visual memory. And I say I moved to New York because the streets are numbered and it's the only place I wouldn't get lost for more than 5 minutes. But speaking of focus, it is knowing where you're going and also being prepared to get off that course or that path or stroll down a new lane, whether by accident because I got lost, or you're like, oh, something shiny, or maybe I want to investigate that. However you got to a different path or a different road on the main path, and we could use analogies, path, driving, the Wizard of Oz. There's no place like home. There's no place like home. That's me in New York.
That sounds like you from the Wizard of Oz. There's no place like home, doing the whole the shoes and everything.
Broadway baby. Like I landed my job, and I've had lots of different jobs. I've quit. I did a podcast recently called, well, the podcast is called Shit, I Quit My Job by Maricela Herrera, who I adore. And my episode is called Shit, I Have Almost No Boundaries, which in the past 6 or 7 minutes that I've been talking to you will not be a surprise to anyone who's ever met me or heard me speak. But the point is, yes, the Wizard of Oz and the Munchkins, and then I do a really awesome Wicked Witch of the West. That's level 1. I did a level 10 at the Gingerman, Halloween, New York City, almost cleared out the entire bar from that. So just embrace your strengths. Where was I going? Yes, inspo quotes, confidence, connection, community. I have one more for you. Also leading by example. And because, own who you are. So I dressed for this specifically in a blazer because we're looking for serious corporate jobs and I'm over 50. But let's face it, who's wearing suits anymore, right? Yes, if it's a gala, if you're in court, if it's a board meet, but we are all different levels of the personal and the professional. So I got this cute little, it's actually cotton pink Ralph Lauren kids, size 12 blazer. And underneath it, I'm not going to do a striptease, but I will show you what's underneath it. My t-shirt, believe in yourself. This is Joe Fresh, kids. And this is my message to all of you. What do you need? Inspo quotes and t-shirts and fun props and books and playlists and artwork that inspires you, but at a deeper level. Because life and career and job search, all of it is hard. I am not making light of it as somebody who struggles equally and hustles equally, good days and bad days, to find clients, to find work, to find collaborations, to find my purpose and live my dream and reach my goals. It's not easy. So on a very practical level, inspo quotes will not change your life. They will change your mindset and they will change your attitude. And that's the social worker in me. So I have 3 main areas to my career paths, my career portfolio. I was a theater major. The arts was my first love. I would have absolutely loved to be a triple threat, singing, dancing, acting on Broadway. It was not in the cards for me for many, many reasons. Number 1 being reality check. But I stayed with theater and I loved it, and I'm a creative at heart. I went into business. I come from a family of business owners, entrepreneurs, immigrants who struggled and hustled and fought and survived and thrived. And that energy of the business world, and especially strong, feisty, fiery women. My grandmother and my great-grandmother were business owners. And I inherited the short, feisty, redheaded Hungarian women like that. And then on my father's side as well, short, feisty Lithuanian men and women. So the business world for me, I love business. I love the arts and I love business. And I say my heart is in the arts. and my head is in business. And then, oh, it's 1:11 as I'm saying this. And then I went into social work because I love helping people and I love connecting with people. And social work is about connecting people to people and connecting people to resources. And social work and networking are basically the same thing. The fundamental principle is those who are the most isolated are the most at risk. And conversely, your network is your net worth. So building a support system around you, friends, family, significant others, strangers, colleagues, collaborators, community groups, that is critical for everything and anything in life. And that is my number one passion and purpose, is helping people connect with each other. If I tell you nothing else about myself today, I will tell you more. I will let Kenneth get a word in edgewise. I am in the business of relationships.
Is it my turn to talk? So I find when I'm talking to job seekers, they're so stressed out, they're so upset, they're so overwhelmed. And I love the idea of putting something like comedy or something, or having a different spin on things. There's nothing wrong with having a good laugh, even if it's just laughing at how much things stink out there.
I intentionally muted myself, as you can see. That is a trick I use. It's not a trick, it's a hack. It's a technique, right? I talk a lot. I talk for a living. It's how I get paid when I get paid. But also knowing strength can be a weakness if there's too much of it. So my point is I intentionally use mute. And to your point, yeah, the doing things with intention. So if I'm going to joke about the job search, I will do it with the intention of easing some of the stress. We're not making fun of it, right? We call this job search sucks, but there's also good parts of it. And the parts of it that I will always last, that will last through the jobs and through the interviews, the people that you meet, the relationships that you build. What do you learn? You know, I've had horrible interviews and wonderful interviews, and from everyone I learned something about myself. And I say that as well about relationships. I am single. I do a lot of online dating and real dating because I want to meet my person. The same way we do a lot of job searching and interviewing because we want to find our job. I do that with dating, and every bad date is, well, it's comedy. Let's be clear about this. There's two kinds of men. There's the ones who want to be in my comedy set, and there's the ones who treat me nicely. But every relationship, every experience in life is a chance to learn more about ourselves, to grow, to improve on some of the things that, you know, maybe we're struggling with, to ease the stress, and also to empower ourselves. I'm a real believer in play to your strengths. So if somebody said, hey, Deena, we're going to put you on the basketball team and you're going to need to take basketball lessons every day, all day, that would be a really big waste of time because, as I mentioned, I'm 4'6" 3/4. I played basketball with 12-year-olds and they beat me.
It would be a waste of time for me, on the other hand, because I'm 6'5.5". I don't know if you realize that.
You can't tell on Zoom. Like I'm on a booster seat right now.
But the point is, I'm a horrible basketball player, and I used to get that question all the time when I was growing up. You must play basketball. Nope.
Ken, you are 6'5.5".
And people who've seen me in person can absolutely, if you've seen me in person, verify that I'm tall. I mean, I think a couple of people in the chat actually have met them before. Yeah, I am. And we actually, a bunch of us met in New York City for the first time as trainers. Oh. And it was the first time a lot of us saw each other off Zoom. And we were like, oh. And I actually stood up one day in one of these sessions, which I'm going to do now. This is how tall I am.
Okay, all the way up here. Oh my God. Should I stand on my chair or next? So this is a chair, ladies and gentlemen, a regular size chair, regular size rack that I've decorated and painted. So this is me standing up and this is me sitting down. That's it. I could stand up and stay in the frame. I mean, I'm not kidding when I say I'm the only comic who needs a booster seat for Zoom meetings. And anyhow, wow. We are going to have to get together in person and do a photo op.
We absolutely have. Like, I think we both know Beth Granger, and I've taken
pictures with her.
Yeah, but I just want to put out some comments here right now because I do want to Michelle Daly, who probably also can vary, because I worked with Michelle Daly many years ago, positive thoughts, positive attitude.
Yeah.
I find the job search allows me to learn new stuff that I don't usually have time for when working full time at a company. And this is one of my recruiter. I love the way you say we're in the business of relationships. I feel that is the key to helping people and clients come together.
I'm reading the comments here. So
I'll put it back again. I'm so fast.
It is. I mean, I really am. Like if anybody asks me, what is your business? It's relationships. I'm a networking coach. I am strategic partnerships. I work with individuals and organizations on building strategic networks and individual relationships. I now also, I mean, I always did, but it's more, I own it. I'm helping people make friends because, your networking still sometimes has a dirty connotation. It's not a 4-letter word, obviously, but it has that negative, sleazy, so we're selling and we're pushing. No, networking it's about building meaningful, strategic relationships. Ideally, long-lasting, long-term, not necessarily, but that is the goal because it's more effective and efficient. But we do business with people. We want to do business with people we like and trust. People don't leave jobs because of the job. They leave because of their managers if they're toxic. So the idea that making friends while making money, it's like doing well while doing good. Of course, we spend so much of our days and our thoughts and our sleepless nights thinking about planning, doing work. So let's make friends. And that's not novel. I know I'm not the only one who believes in that, but I do believe in teaching it and using your job search networking. And when you're in a job, you need to be networking equally and paying it forward. Here's another technique. If you're having a bad day, if you are feeling down about yourself, about the search, whatever it may be, the best way to feel better about yourself is to help someone else. And that could be a 5-minute phone call. I gave someone advice on their LinkedIn profile. It took me 3 minutes. Not a paid client. They're not necessarily going to become a client. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. But I was just like, hey, can I give you a really quick tip on, they had a picture that was from here to here. And I said, on LinkedIn, you want it literally headshot, shoulders up. And then their background was a fuzzy image of a city. And I said, an image of the city you live in or of any city doesn't tell me anything about your brand unless you're actually the mayor of that city. And even then, I don't know that unless it says mayor. Or if you're an architect and you designed every single building in that skyline, and I know you didn't because I've worked for architects. So my point being, and I felt good that I could just give someone, rather than thinking, oh, they're not a client, I'm giving free advice away, which, yes, still runs through my head at all of us, realistically, honestly. But I was like, it cost me nothing. And they're a good person. And they gave me some feedback that I asked for. So pay it forward. If you're having a rough day, think about what you do best and just give it to someone as a gift. Call a friend. Give someone advice. If you're great at design, paint a picture and give it to someone. Write a card. Whatever it may be that helps you reinforce what you know are your strengths and skills. So, for example, I wrote a bunch of songs about unemployment in 2009. They're song parodies, and I pulled them up out of the computer today. Not gonna sing them because singing is not one of my absolute best strengths, but I will post them later. My printer is not working right now, and I'm relatively tech savvy, but I think I forgot to buy ink. So, you know what? But I can still write the songs and give them to someone else to throw onto a really pretty canvas and make them look good. Collaboration, that's another one. Find accountability buddies in your job search. And introvert, extrovert, it doesn't matter. Like we are a power couple. Introverts and extroverts are power couples. But find people with complementary strengths. So let's say, I want to work with another extrovert because we need that social interaction and chat. We'll say we'll chat for 10 minutes, catch up on all things social, get energized, and then we'll work on our resumes or our job search. If it's an introvert, then okay, we just need a quick text check-in, do our work, come back again. Or maybe we have very specific things we want to help each other with. So build those accountability partnerships. Every time I was in a job search or launching a new business or a new project, I would gather a bunch of people around me. I've got many informal networks that I launch and host and co-host that aren't even out there publicly, because that's what helps me in everything I do. And it can help you too.
I'm just going to say over here, and this is an example, Michelle Daly just did that for a friend on Friday whose profile was not getting seen, made a major change, and it made her day, and that warmed my heart. And that is such a perfect example, because I know on a day-to-day basis, I have chats with people all the time. I'm not looking for business. I'm looking to pay it forward. And sometimes people just need that. It's just a conversation.
It's not, it is a conversation, and it's a connection, and it's an interaction, and it's an experience, and it is an impact. Think impact and influence. You are making a difference in someone else's life. As hokey as that sounds, you are making a difference. We are all making a difference. Hopefully it's for the better.
Yep.
Because, I'm sure there's some people that are like, yeah, she made a difference in my life. Not in a good way. She made me talk about my feelings. She made me be vulnerable. Well, what can I say? It really is. And emotions, our mental health is critical. And I say this as a former clinical social worker. I facilitated support groups. I had therapy patients briefly, but I did not go into therapy because, and my mother, who's a retired therapist and very experienced, qualified, super educated, therapy was her purpose. She said, you can't tell people what to do when you're a therapist. I said, I know. I like telling people what to do. That's why I became a business coach. She's like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. Okay, that tracks. Good for you.
So do you find a difference between how men and women communicate and network? Because one of the things I was told many, many years ago when I was actually volunteering, and our kids were at summer classes, and I met a woman there who I've still stayed in touch with, and she said, men and women just communicate differently, not better or worse, but differently. And I've always held to that thinking when I talk to different people, because it's about understanding how people communicate.
It is absolutely, it's about understanding how people communicate, and it's about understanding differences. So whether it's men or women, introverts or extroverts, creatives versus analytical, not versus, but creatives and analytical. I also had a conversation today that really got me jazzed up for this, was my warm-up act for today's conversation with an organization that specializes in recruitment for the cybersecurity industry, and they only recruit candidates who are neurodivergent. Okay. Now, I have ADHD. I was diagnosed like 3 years ago. Very, very late. But our people, and I get the first thing when I found out, I was like, oh my God, 10 million new friends. Yay. Because I'm an extrovert. We're all on different spectrums, whether it's neurodiverse, neurotypical, extrovert, introvert. Again, not better or worse.
Right.
Different. And looking at it from a positive, complementary, how can we learn from each other? How can we affirm each other's strengths? So again, I'm not good at basketball. Big deal. I'm going to be your head cheerleader and I'm going to rock at it. But I want the guy or the woman. I love watching women's basketball. I really do. I am just so impressed and amazed and admire these women. So again, admiring and appreciating someone who is completely different, who has different strengths, we can learn from it. And what I was talking about earlier, it's affirming our differences on a positive way. Everyone has stuff they're not good at. I don't call it weaknesses. I just call it not strengths. Like, I don't have a good sense of direction. Is that going to affect my life in any concrete way? No. And I'll give you another example, and it is to your point about how we communicate differently. So the way I communicate, partly because I am a storyteller and a performer and a creative, and I'm heart-centered. Also, what I've learned with ADHD, we don't just beginning, middle, end. Let me take you down all these different paths, and I'll always bring you back to the beginning or to the point. This is a strength because my strengths finder strengths, number one is ideation. And I see connections between everything, which is what makes me great at branding and people and connections. So to take this long, convoluted story of men and women doing things differently, we can learn from each other on a very simple level. in general, men are very direct. And I love that. I'm a New Yorker. Like, I like direct. Tell me what you want to tell me. I don't want passive aggressive. I don't need all the preamble. I'm giving you preamble now because in the context of this program. But if you ask me a direct question, you want a direct answer, I'll give it to you. And I do think that men and women need to, and I will say need and should. I don't care coaches who say don't say should. I do it my way. I'm not saying you do it my way. I'm saying I do it my way. Believe in yourself. I believe in my way. Be you. Good graphic design. So for those of us who do amble and ramble and love all the details, we do need to learn to be direct and time sensitive when and where it matters. And that emotion isn't necessarily a factor in a certain conversation. So, for example, if I'm pitching to healthcare, when I work with healthcare and the arts and business, I'm not going to start with a story about, oh, I was in pain and I went through this experience and I was horrible. No, like, here's the business case for why you should invest in XYZ. There's a market for it. Here's the demographics. Here's the trends. Here's the stats. You're going to make money. Oh, and by the way, this is because of in my personal story. So I also know this firsthand. Right. And I have lots of other stories about my origin story in my life being excluded and bullied and alone and miserable, which is partly a huge part of what inspired and motivated me to become a networking coach. But it didn't give me my skills. Like, I was already naturally someone who cared about connecting with people and able to do it really well. I just had to get out of my not my introvert shell, but my very, very low self-esteem and my insecurities to let my inner extrovert out. And then for men, back to your point, understanding that emotion comes into business, it comes into life. And I will say for people over, of our age group, 40s, 50s, we were unfortunately cultured, boys don't cry and be a man and man up and have some and lady. And women are too emotional. No, we all need that combination of emotional and intellectual and strategic, and we can learn from each other. I hope this was helpful to all of you. I will take a break from talking.
You are such a generous powerhouse.
Oh, thank you.
And you are. So I think for me, the biggest challenge was always self-esteem. And self-worth. I mean, I've come a long way, but I still have my self-esteem issues about whether I'm good enough to do different things or not. And that's probably, again, based on how I grew up and what I was around. I mean, I think we're all kind of factors. I think our backgrounds kind of are part of what we go through. But but it's not that I need someone to say, yeah, you're a great person. Yeah, I'm a great person. I don't need it that way, but it's a self-worth. I need to know for myself that I'm doing something, whatever that something is.
That's one of the words that I use for 2024. Everyone says, like, pick a word for the year. I'm like, you want me to stop at one? There's no way. The only time I picked one word and stuck with it was like 2 years ago, and the word was love. And it's still, but one of my guiding words for this year is purpose. And I use that as a framework. So to your point, Kenneth, right? What is it? And I ask this to everybody out there, whatever your age, stage, career, what is your purpose in life? What do you want to not necessarily accomplish, not from a success resume standpoint, but what impact do you want to make on people? How do you want to use and I know there's some beautiful quotes out there. Something like, how do you want to live your one wild life? But how do you want to use your talents and your gifts to help others? And I'm assuming everyone does want to make an impact on other people, whether it's helping them make money, which is absolutely valid, or save money, or protect them in the courts, or with contracts, or with job search, connections, friendships, dating. What is your purpose? And use that as your guide for, okay, what are my strengths that help me live my purpose? And I guarantee if you look backwards and forwards at your career and your life, those themes and those stories will show themselves. They will come up. And if you're not entirely sure whether or not you've done the different strengths, personality assessments, ask a friend, ask a colleague that you trust, family members as well. How would you describe me? What are my best strengths? How do you see me making an impact on people? And use this for your job search, because I guarantee you they will come up with some ideas or some concepts or some words that you may not have thought of, or that somehow are missing from your resume or your interview or your cover letter. And because it's coming from someone else, it's a little more powerful, and it'll help you, right, Ken? To your point, we all go through that self-esteem, am I good enough, imposter syndrome.
Right.
It's not just internal, it's because the world is telling us, no, you're too old, you're too young, you're too short, you're too tall, you're too much of this, you're not enough of that. There's so many, the job descriptions are ridiculous. They want equal parts left brain and right brain. Right. Equal parts, works beautifully alone and works amazingly in groups. Those people don't exist much. Like, my strengths are, I'm an extreme extrovert. I can work alone. I know how to take initiative in order to work with a group. But if you make me work by myself for days on end, I'll be miserable. That's not my passion or my purpose. So these crazy job descriptions do tend to get into our head and make us question our worth by societal, typical, ingrained structural standards. And so being able to embrace, and I believe in yourself, be you. The more we can do that for ourselves and for each other and say, F your criteria, or F your unrealistic job description, because nobody is both left brain, right brain, analytical, creative, introverted, extroverted, all at the same time. And if they were, they wouldn't be bothering applying to your job, because they'd be taking over the world and making a boatload of money and making a difference. But embracing that which is uniquely you and which is uniquely other people. And the more we can live by example and lead by example, we can help each other, which is our second point, connection. Mm-hmm. And community, and how do we help each other? And if you hear of a job that isn't for you, forward it on. Like this gentleman that I spoke to today, this cybersecurity recruiting agency, they only recruit people in the UK. Mm-hmm. So I said, great, I have a huge network in the UK. I will gladly share your information with them. Also, can we talk about strategic partnerships? And I'd love to speak on one of your programs. And if you're expanding, or you know comparable companies in the US and Canada who appreciate the unique talents and creativity and innovation in the neurodivergent community, my people, our people, let's help each other.
So I want to just call this out again. This is, whoever the LinkedIn user is here said, I'm out of work. Why do you tell so many jokes during your workshops? And he said, I do because people in search need to laugh. So I don't know if it's Al Smith. I don't know who else it is, because but that's just a great thing. People in search need to laugh, whatever the reason is.
People in life need to laugh. I'm a stand-up comedian. I do stand-up comedy. I've gotten paid for it. So technically I'm pro, and I do get paid. I know clients have hired me. They've said, because we love your personality and your humor and your comedy, whether it's networking, branding, public speaking skills, because where does insecurity come from? It's emotion, right? Mm-hmm. Comedy helps normalize things, first of all. Like, I joke about my height because that was the most traumatic thing in my life. I was bullied and teased because of my height, and hurt because I'm so tiny. So instead of letting other people own my story, I own it now. And I also see it as an asset, because I will never blend into a crowd. I used to think, oh, that's horrible. I don't fit in. I don't belong. Everybody else is tall and blonde and leggy or whatever, and can see over the counters and the steering wheel, you name it, can reach whatever. But I was like, no, I am different. I can't change that. It's an asset. It is people recognize me because of how I look, but they remember me because of who I am. I use that expression as well. So comedy in anything in life is it's valid, valuable, healthy coping mechanism. And if it flips that switch in our brain from, oh, poor me, and the negativity and that scarcity mindset to, you know what, it's a moment. Breathe, and laughing makes you breathe. Smiling, physiologically, your neuroscience, brain chemistry changes when you smile. So it forces you to think differently and react differently, and you can let go of the pain. It's like if you're getting a needle or a shot or something, I tend to go, what'd you do for 5, 6, 7 minutes? Like I count really loud when I'm getting a needle, and then it's over and I'm laughing, and whoever's giving me the needle is like, Okay, good. You know how to count to 10. Good girl. Right? Like, I've forgotten the pain already. I've moved on to, okay, what are we going to do about this? Right? Like, their comedy at the beginning of the pandemic, the first weeks and months, was the number one search term on every platform on the internet. And the term that it replaced is a 4-letter word that starts with P and ends with N and is NSFW. So for the first time in history, comics were hotter than stars. For a very brief period, people wanted us more than they wanted anything else. But yeah, like, you gotta have a positive attitude, or get that positive attitude, because there's thoughts, there's going to be crying. Anyone who says there's no crying in business, of course there's. It's not, it's not personal. It's just business. Of course it's personal. It's our lives. And there's a great line in Erin Brockovich. She's like, it's my time away from my kids and it's my energy. Of course it's personal. But balancing the tears with the laughter. And if you don't know pain, you don't know pleasure, right? It's from the hard times in life that we learn and that we repair. When you break, I'm not saying break bones, but when a bone is broken, it heals stronger. And a scar is a memory of like, ooh, okay, I got hurt, but it was totally worth it. Or, don't do that again.
I know Brenda Miller had a conversation this morning, which I attended, and she had someone on talking about the idea of journaling and keeping track of what you're doing. I still look back at things I wrote down when I was out of work, 2008, 2009. I got it out of my system, and I look at it now, and say to myself, I'm happy I got it in my system, maybe as opposed to posting it online, but I got out some really funny stuff, like about the interview that didn't work, or the recruiter did this, and I could have done comedy on my own. No, I'm not looking to take your place or anything like that, but it's like I had some great material, although it turned out some great material for LinkedIn posts, though.
Right. And it's not about taking place, because you and I will never fit into the same place. Because, we'll take a photo together, but we're going to need stairs and, bar stools and risers and stages.
Yeah.
But so to me, right, I'm in the business of relationships, and I always say this, and I mean it so sincerely. And this is just me. It's not everybody. I will always prefer to share the spotlight than take the stage alone. Because I'm an extrovert, because I'm cast, crew, and collaborative. There are other people that want the spotlight to themselves, and that's fine. It's just not me. So Ken, when you say you're not taking my place, the more comedians joking about job search, the better, right? When I became a coach, and this is going back 14 years, and I called myself Chief Networking Officer, and everyone said to me, we've never heard that term before. I said, I made it up. I did. I was like, I needed this, back in the day in 2009, having a C-suite title carried more weight and credibility. So I was like, okay, Chief Networking Officer. Now, Chief People Officer is commonplace. I no longer call myself that because I don't want that C-suite designation. I'm strategic partnerships and programs, branding and marketing, people wrangler in the film industry, business matchmaker, professional wing woman. I'm creative, so I'm going to come up with creative titles. But the point is, labels, I don't love labels. They're helpful to frame ideas, but you are more than your job title, and you are more than your resume. And I am more than whatever made up title I make up, because no title is going to say, oh my God, she's had this really diverse, rich, eclectic career. And to anybody who says pick a lane and stick in it, I'm going to say, you know where you can stick it. I posted yesterday, or 2 days ago. I've been posting a lot on LinkedIn because I just want to share this with you. And Ken, to your point of, having fun with it, like pick a lane and stick it ain't my thing. The same way I got really angry using angry emoji. Stop calling them soft skills. Stop calling them soft skills. Stop calling them soft skills. They're hard. They're hard AF. It's hard to master people skills and communication and networking and conflict management and public speaking. Now, there's a whole bunch of jokes I could make about soft and hard, which I use lots of dating innuendo, but I won't do right now. But Ken, to your point, all that journaling and the writing and the processing, it helps. It helps. I wrote 4 songs Searching USA to the tune of Surfing USA. Everybody be my job, my job, my job. To the tune of My Girl. I did this in 2009. Let's see what else. Oh, Unemployed to the tune of Oh Danny Boy, because I did Irish dancing. Slightly off key, somewhat off tempo, and definitely more than a little bit off. I will post them. The Unemployment Line to the tune of Mambo Number 5, if anyone remembers that. Again, this back in 2009. And then I wrote an entire song to the tune of That's Entertainment, because I come from Broadway and theater and movies and musicals, and that's entertainment. That's unemployment and the jobs that, anyhow, it's not funny, but the song, what are we going to do? Like yell and scream and get angry and raise my blood pressure, or get together, laugh, and get through it?
But it brings out all the creative energies that you have. And I always tell people in job search, if you may have lost your job, but you haven't lost your experience, you haven't lost your background. And that is such an important way to frame it. Yes, we've all lost jobs. We're all going to get jobs. It's all transition, but you haven't lost yourself and your self-worth. And that's an important thing, to take.
I mean, you put a performer on a platform and you let her do whatever she wants. Like, I'm wearing props. I almost brought some other props.
You can actually sing one of the songs. I mean, if you really feel adventurous.
I'm not the best singer, and I don't want to make people feel any worse than they already are today.
Okay, fair enough. Enough.
You know what? I will make an offer to the community out there. I like to sing with other people. I don't have a voice that can really carry on its own. I'm happy to write the music. I write the lyrics. I would much prefer to sing it with other people. And I've taken enough singing classes to know different levels and harmonizing. And, if someone's got a keyboard or knows how to find a really good karaoke, I'm sure there's a karaoke app that we can get the tune. I would invite all of you, whether it's on Ken's platform or my platform, or you go on LinkedIn, we get all together in a Zoom and we start singing these songs. I'll share the lyrics with everyone. We could do a job search sing-along.
Or instead of a We Are the World thing, we can do a whole bunch of things like that. We are the unemployed and all.
You know what? I'm going to put this out to your readers and listeners and audience, to everybody out there. If you have any interest at all in finding new creative ways to channel that energy, good, bad, or otherwise, you don't have to be good at it. You don't have to have ever done it. Try it once. If you don't like it, you don't have to do it again. But take pen to paper, use one of my songs as your framework, and then add a lyric of your own. I was at a business retreat, one of my first business retreats, and I love conferences and retreats, when I launched my business. And the very first exercise, and I'm sharing this with you because I think it's useful for job search, was we were paired up with strangers and said, find a way to describe yourself and your strengths that isn't your resume, that isn't your job title, that anybody can understand. An analogy, a metaphor, a picture. And what I came up with was, and it just fits all aspects of my life, I'm like that kid, like Mickey. If you've ever seen the Mickey Rooney, Judy Garland musicals, and I was hooked on old Hollywood musicals, I'm the one who says, hey kids, let's get together in the backyard and put on a show. I come up with an idea. I rally everyone together. Everyone gets to use their strengths and contribute in whatever way they want. So I'm like producer director, right? And we get the audience. Well, the second night of the retreat, I'm in my room. And the next morning, the woman who's in the room next to me, she goes, I heard you laughing and giggling. Now, this was not like a hope. It was just us. Get your minds out of there just for a minute. She's like, why were you laughing? I was like, I just started writing and I wrote this song about the people on the retreat. So within 24 to 48 hours, not only had I said my superpower is I'm the one who says, hey kids, let's get together in the backyard and put on a show. I wrote a song. I recruited everyone else to help me write it. We had midnight rehearsals. The most introverted, socially anxious woman in the group joined us and said, thank you. She was like crying happy tears because she felt so included and welcome. And one person broke into asked permission to go to use the hotel office to print out the song lyrics. And someone else said, let's do it flash mob style, interpretive dance style. And we wrote and produced a musical at a business retreat about everybody there. So own your strengths, believe in yourself, figure out what it is, if you don't already know, that you are amazing at. And everybody has many things they're amazing at. Figure it out for yourself. Ask people for examples. Look for it in everything you do every day. It can be something really small or really big. And that should and can and will help you keep that motivation. It will help you, the confidence. It will help you connect with other people because you're helping them and impacting them and sharing your strengths. And it's got to be comedy in it somewhere. There's comedy in everything. Trust me.
We need lots of comedy in these days. I mean, there's so much stuff going on. I mean, I know I can go through the day and I can find so many things to laugh at, and I probably don't laugh enough, but it's little things. You know, for me, it's like
me. I'm the little thing people laugh at, but I own it. Like, I want you to come laugh at me. Like, hire me to speak at your conference for your company, as Ken did today. I mean, I write comedy about everything, from job search, extroverts, introverts, dating, sex, health, death. You know, we have to. It's how we process.
And I know that one of the things I did, the fact that I said I was 6'5.5", and the other part about this is my son is 6'8". So if you think I'm tall, he's 6'8", and his girlfriend is 5'1". So if you talk about a Jeff, wait,
I don't even date men over 6 feet tall anymore.
Okay. But they are so, but it's just one of those things. But it's
different but equal, or as I say, different and equal. I work with words. I love the power of words, but more important than words is the feeling.
Yeah.
So it's not different but equal. It's different. We are all different and equal.
And equal. And that's
urge you to start using that as a reframe. The other reframe I came up with on Saturday, in fact, I was at doing a vision board workshop with another group, with a group of a neurodiverse group that I met through LinkedIn, right? I build community through LinkedIn. Someone is posting, she's like, I've got this group, online platform, people who are neurodivergent, neurodiverse. I was like, I'd love to join. We did a vision board workshop. It was a blast. And I said, instead of disadvantage, like I was about to say I have a disadvantage, I'm like, no, I have a diff advantage. Differently advantage. So I am creative. I need visuals. I don't love doing things linear, and it's not a disadvantage. It's a different advantage. So I urge all of you, reframe that, right? Like, Ken, you can reach stuff I can't reach, but if you drop something on the floor, I'll get it for you because I'm closer to the floor.
Well, that comes in handy when I go food shopping, because I always have the people that give me the look. They can't reach the thing on the shelf, and they don't want to ask me to get it for them because it's like they're ashamed. I'm like, sure. I mean, really, but and that's kind of my thing now. And that should probably be a part of my tagline. I can get you the top shelf thing on the grocery store, perhaps.
Oh, so I wrote a comedy about something top shelf.
Right.
Being able to reach the top shelf at the grocery store. And it became a whole lesson about people and accommodations. And then I have another joke I use about dating short men and buying top shelf liquor, which I call aspirational drinking. It's not the best punchline of all, but it's just that idea of like, what matters, right? It doesn't matter. It's not about your height. It's about your heart. It's not about your size. It's about your strengths.
So can we have you back? Would you like to come back sometime?
What do you think? I will go anywhere. I will go almost anywhere I'm invited. I love to be included. And that is for everyone, by the way. And I say this as a networker, as an extrovert, as somebody who was excluded from a lot of things. One of the most beautiful phrases you can say to anybody is, come join us. You're invited. Welcome. We all want to be included and fit in and belong and participate.
So I'm looking forward to meeting you in person in the city sooner rather than later.
Help me get there. The other thing, ask for what you want and be prepared to get it. Remember, like practical tools.
Yep.
I am available for speaking and coaching and training and comedy around networking and relationships and dating and I want to come home to my beloved New York City. Fireball Deena, networking Yoda. So help us so that Ken and I can do an in-person photo shoot video together using all kinds of props. We'll go to the grocery store together and film it.
We'll go to Trader Joe or Whole Foods or Wegmans or somewhere like that.
One of the last in-person on-stage sets I did in New York in January or February of 2020, before the pandemic, was a set about going to Whole Foods, and just one of the benefits of being this short is I don't have to do my own grocery shopping. I just hop up on the counter, confiscate a manager, and be like, I want this and I want that, and I want, grab a bottle of wine off the shelf and just sit there until they do my order for me.
Such a
now I got Ken.
What? You got me. So again, by osmosis, I can try to reach my arm out and hand something over to you for sure. But I want to thank everyone here. And again, and I have to laugh about this because I did karaoke recently with my family. So, and this is a true story. I sang the song Short People with my daughter-in-law, who's about 5'1", 5'2". And it was a blast.
I love it. Oh my God, that must have been hilarious. Like, because you're doing it together. So that's the I didn't even know. I know the song by Randy Newman, and he is a decent, I mean, I like some of his other stuff. I never liked that. But Jesus Christ, you're tall. I've never heard that before.
How do you pictures are supposed to be hung up on the wall at eye level? How high do you hang your pictures?
Well, Amy, I could show you at different heights, actually. So in this case, partly because for filming, this is where I'm working out of my office, and I'm sitting on a relatively, quote unquote, average sized chair. But sometimes and also my computer is stacked on 12 books right now. Sometimes I'll sit on an exercise ball, so I'm much lower to the floor because ergonomically it's not comfortable. I have other pictures, and hopefully I can do this without showing you too much of my apartment. That's Danson, Fosse, that's it. So I put that much higher up because I like the look of it higher up. I like the hats on top, and that's also where I work out. So I don't, but it's a design question, I guess. I've worked with and for designers. I think rules should hang it it's my home. I'll hang it where I want. And if I want to see it high up or if I want it low to the ground, do it. Here, another lesson, just do what works for you. To thine own self be true. Own your preferences and your passion and your purpose, and don't let other people try to force you into some box, because as Ken and I both know, one size never fits all.
Fits all.
Never fits all.
Take care, everyone. Have a great day.